Paulina Viviana Dianet. This is my cultural archive speech. Pause. Okay, so how many of you have a smartphone? Obviously, we've already gone over this. Almost all of you, probably all of you. But how many times do you really open, like, unlock it and open it and use it per day? Let's say, like, raise the hands, like 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20, 30 times per day. Cell phones have definitely evolved. They used to be a simplistic form of communication from one person at point A to another person at point B. And now they've become this handheld computer. Honestly, we can do so many more things with our cell phones than ever thought before. So, according to the Pew Research Internet Project, I know, it's a mouthful, 90% of all American adults have a cell phone. And out of that 90%, 58% of them have smartphones. So that means over half of all the population our age and older have phones, smartphones just like us, who use them in completely different ways and use them to help each other or help themselves. They're not just a way of communication anymore. They're a way of answering questions, solving problems, educating yourself on a more of an individual level. By using a current cell phone, it can not only assist in the communication and entertainment of yourself on a daily basis, but definitely it can help educate and learn and really back up what, like, let's say your teacher says something and you're like, I don't know if that's really true. You can definitely go Google it and be like, oh, okay, I understand, and it can break it down better. So definitely helps in the whole learning aspect. So my main points, I'm going to go over how the cell phone developed into what it is today. And then I'm going to go over the main functions and how it's useful in my everyday life and why I identify it with myself, because it's versatile and can be used in different ways. So, the cell phone is changing the way that we communicate with others, obviously, through social media, through different apps, through people don't just go up to each other or go to their house and be like, oh, I'm not going to call or text you, I'm just going to come over. People don't do that anymore. You're going to like call them, you're going to like IM them, you're going to Tango them, Skype them, whatever. You're going to let them know you're coming. But before the cell phone, they had radios. So in 1921, that was the first time that radios came out in like mass amounts. They were putting them in cars, but not just any car, they were putting them in police squad cars so that the police could use them. The problem was that there were so many police that they were talking on the same channels and they couldn't communicate very well because it was still in the early stages. So it wasn't until the 40s that AT&T opened it up to the public, but it was only from a highway from New York to Boston. So you can only use the radio system from like a small span, especially since like their states over there are so small versus over here, which is like literally like, let's say 10 miles. So it wasn't until the 70s that AT&T was the first company to have a modern day phone system so that people could actually talk to each other on different wavelengths. And it definitely helped because nowadays we talk on so many different platforms and so many different uses. So now I know what you're thinking. Why am I telling you all this and not telling you about my relationship with my cell phone? Well, I originally got a cell phone because I was in private school. There were only like 100 kids in my whole school. And I went to public school, and there was like 4,000 kids in my school. My girl could not figure out who was in my class, where I was. You go from like 7 kids to like 40. That is ridiculous. And as I got older, I used it more and more for clubs that I was interacting with, because I was president of this, or captain of this, or this, that. Meetings, I'd use it for maps when I'd go up to competition, Tennessee, Florida, San Francisco. You have to find stuff around where you're around. And definitely the calendar app was perfect. The presentations, like you could work on your presentation while you're in class, perfect. Revising essays, great. But definitely, according to the Pew Internet Research Project, it definitely just reinforced what I thought I was already doing. 40% in a survey in April 2012, 41% of all cell phone users that they interviewed used their cell phone to organize a meeting or a get together with other people, whether that be business or otherwise. And 35% use it to solve a problem. So that's the way I identify with it. And so now that I've told you all that, now you know that the cell phone can be used for so many other different functionalities. And now that I think that our generation is so dependent on it, our generation is so dependent on it, but definitely take some time and step back. Just like find that answer in a book. Ask that person. So yeah, that is it. That's all my time, but yeah.